Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday morning, October 3rd, 2023. We're just a few hours away from the start of the 2023 Major League Baseball playoffs. And man, I don't know if you guys remember. I'm, 51 years old. You would remember if you're right around my age or a little bit older, coming home from school and just knowing you were going to see afternoon baseball on TV, TV that did not have cable TV. It was magical. I mean, at the time, we would only get an occasion, the Saturday afternoon game. We would get the Monday night baseball game a little bit later on. And then occasionally on Sunday afternoons, we'd be able to pick up Yankee games in upstate New York. So there wasn't a lot of baseball to be seen. But when you had this, thing to come home to from school every day, man, that was so magical. So I always get excited. I get a little shivers when I talk about the start of the postseason. Good afternoon in the East. Good morning still in the West. Welcome to Against the Public. I'm Dana Lane. We're the only segment that combs through early betting patterns by the public, tells you exactly where the money is going and where those wagers might be a little bit misguided. Now, today we're going to go through three games or three betting options because obviously the card is a little bit smaller today. Believe me, the avalanche of sports is coming, so I take these opportunities and run with them. But we're going to go through three betting options today where one team or total has received the majority of the early money wagered and tell you exactly why you might want to run the other way. Before we get to our games, I just want to spotlight some playoff betting trends that's going to help you or maybe just inform you. I don't know how much this is actually going to help because we've always said the past does not dictate the future, but it's kind of fun to look back on that. We're going to look back at the 8 teams that are playing today and tell you exactly how they've done historically in the history of their franchise. Now, not quite the history of the franchise. We'll go back to like 2004 with these numbers. My archive only goes so deep. So we'll go back to 2004, which is still pretty deep, but it is interesting some of the results. And we're going to start in the American League with the Texas Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. 2023, this year has been a up and down year for the Rangers. They won 90 games, minus 2.81 units if you bet a 1-unit wager on the Rangers all year long. It's massive favorites when they are. And then they went through that stretch in August and in September a little bit where they just weren't very good. And that really hurt the bankroll. The last time, of course, the Rangers were in the postseason, they were swept by the Toronto Blue Jays in a divisional series. They have not won a playoff game since 2015 and haven't won a playoff series since 2011. Overall, the franchise is 20-22 against the postseason money line, but that's still good enough to turn a profit because they've been an underdog for most of those games, plus 1.29 units. Tampa Bay Rays finished with 2.03 units of profit, 99 wins. Seems wrong after their tremendous start. For this team not to get to 100 wins is like, it just blows my mind. But betting the Rays in the postseason has not been very profitable with 4.84 units lost since 2008, minus 4.35 over the last 2 seasons. They've dropped 5 of their last 6 postseason games. Switching over to the National League, the Miami Marlins have been to the postseason just once since their World Series in 2003. That was in 2020 during the shortened 60-game season. Not sure if I count that. But nonetheless, they were swept by the Braves in the second round of the postseason 3-0. That was after they took 2 games from the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley. Both of those games, they were a pretty sizable dog in. So despite the 2-3 record that year, or in the span of the parameters of this filter, they have had a small profit of 0.28 units. Really not enough to even talk about. Philadelphia Phillies rather have, or besides that, the Philadelphia Phillies have been one of the best teams to wager on since 2008, winning 38 of 60 postseason games, good for 12.98 units of profit. They're so good that no other team has produced more for the betting public in that span. Toronto, not a friend to the bettors. 6.42 units lost since 2015. Have not won a playoff game since 2016. And most of that is on the back of their inability to win as a favorite. Their record's 8-11 in that span, minus 5.67 units, making them the worst postseason wager over the last 7 years. Yes, that even a little bit worse than the Minnesota Twins. And speaking of the Twins, and we're talking about, we want to go back further, the Minnesota Twins are by far the worst postseason wager since 2004. They have not won a playoff series since, or haven't won a playoff game since 2004. Of course, that was against the New York Yankees. They haven't won a playoff series since 1991, a series I remember well because I was desperately trying to get out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Since the Twins are 0-15 under my parameters, yes, I know they have lost 18 straight, but can't go back that far. Let's just say they're 0-18, minus 18 units, 0-14 as an underdog. Officially 0-11, but those other 3 games we got to throw in there too. Anyway, you slice it, the Minnesota Twins have been horrible in the postseason. On to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Also not have been a great bet in the postseason for bettors, losing 3.34 units behind a 6-10 mark in the postseason since 2007. And finally, the Milwaukee Brewers are 13-19 in the playoffs since 2008, minus 7 units, but 10-6 at home for a plus 1.67 unit profit. So you might want to look at Milwaukee when they're at home. The moral of this, I expected to dive into this and find, oh, wow, okay, this team really historically has done well. Man, it has been hard to find of the 8 teams that are going to start today, excluding the Philadelphia Phillies. Only the Phils have a history of cashing tickets, really. We're not taking into an account a team that barely is into the black. But Phillies, if the moral to all this work this morning, the Philadelphia Phillies are by far the best team that are starting their postseason today. Overall, of all the teams in the postseason, the Houston Astros are 63-43 since 2005, plus 13.50 units of profit. And we've already uncovered that the Minnesota Twins are by far the worst in that span. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me at Dana Lane Sports on Twitter or on the comment section on YouTube. Before we get to our games today, I just want to tell you, I think this is an awesome offer. And yeah, I came up with it, so I think it's awesome. At Pick Dawgz right now, you'll get this package where you get every single playoff game starting with today, going all the way through the last pitch of the World Series. You get every single play for $149.99, and we'll run that for a couple days, and then we'll adjust the price obviously after the first round of the postseason. But get every single selection. Don't have to buy them individually. Don't have to buy any other packages. You get every play from the start of the postseason through the World Series for $149.99. Now Sunday, if I'm going to come on here and talk about all our successes, I'm certainly going to come on here and talk about all our not so successful days. Sunday, we took it on the chin in the NFL. I apologize for that, but we are off and running, and it only takes a couple games to make up for that, which we're going to do. And we still having a phenomenal 40-19 overall record on the show. Good for 68% winners. And now that's 59 plays. Now we're getting into a good amount of plays. So that's a solid record, and I hope everybody has profited from that. Okay, let's get to today's games. Let's add to that record. We'll stop in the Twin Cities where we have 2 selections. Game number 947, 948, Toronto Blue Jays, Minnesota Twins, Kevin Gausman, Pablo Lopez. 56% of the public is on the Minnesota Twins. I guess they just can't get enough of 0-18 since 2004. I guess they got to win at some point. Maybe that's the logic. I don't know. I know Pablo Lopez is fantastic, but you got to show me something different. I mean, if you keep on, showing me losers since 2004, that's what I'm going to tend to wager on in 2023. The number has gone from the Twins as a small $1.06 favorite, which I really anticipated that number being around that. But that has been bet up to minus $1.18 on the back of that 56%. I am well aware that Toronto also has a postseason losing streak, but for me, from a psychological standpoint, I love the things that are coming out of Toronto. I love hearing John Schneider talk about, hey, look, we know we didn't meet expectations, and they certainly didn't. Third place finish in the American League East was not what they were hoping for. They were hoping for a division title. And there's a big difference between betting teams that have a chip on their shoulder when, say, you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you have more than enough, you're more than capable of overcoming those things, and maybe some of the lesser teams in the league that they also want to win and have a massive chip on their shoulder, but just don't have what it takes right now as far as the roster is concerned to do so. Now, I think that there's also a difference between Toronto having a chip on their back and Minnesota having a monkey on their back. I'm going to take the team with the chip, and we're going to go against the public and take Toronto. We're also going to double dip in this game, as we're going to go against 56% of the money flowing in on the under. We're going to take the over 7.5 even money, which is a number that is right where it was when the send-out number occurred. So that has not moved despite 56% of the money coming in on the under. And game number three games today, 9:45, 9:46 is your game numbers. Miami Marlins at the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies minus $1.45 home favorite. Jesus Luzardo against Zach Wheeler. 87% of the public money is on the under. Not enough to budget from 7.5 minus $1.10 each way, but we can see that certainly shows us a small betting pattern forming, which is good enough for this show. And in the 13 games head-to-head this season, both clubs hit a combined 33 home runs. It's about 2.5 a game. The Phillies have hit at least one home run in 39 of the last 42 games. 83 overall in that stretch. That is the best mark in the majors from October 16th, or check that, August 16th through October 1st. And the guys you need to start heating up: Kyle Schwarber, where have you been? Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, 45 home runs over the last 3 weeks, or check that, over the last 6 weeks from August 16th through October 1st, about 6 weeks, I guess. 45 of those homers have come from those three guys. I expect that middle of that Phillies lineup to absolutely be on fire, continue to be on fire. We're going to go against the public. Bet the over, minus 7.5, minus $1.05. So to recap, pick number one, Toronto plus $1.08. Also, Toronto, Minnesota over 7.5. And Miami, Philadelphia over 7.5, minus $1.05. And that should give us a profitable Monday. And we'll start this week, or profitable Tuesday. God, I forgot we didn't have a show yesterday. Profitable Tuesday. We'll get this week started off with stuffing a little cash in our bankroll. That does it for today's Against the Public. Remember, go to Pickdawgz right now. Get my Major League Baseball playoff package. Each game from start to finish, from first pitch of the Wild Card Series all the way through the World Series, $149.99. And, of course, our terrific record here on this show. Hopefully we're going to add to that today. Either way, make sure to get involved. You can also get the games individually as well. So make sure you get involved. Thank you for your continued support. All the nice comments. We appreciate it. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way if we start the 120th edition of the Major League Baseball postseason. I'm Dana Lane. All the best.